Technology moving the nation forward. Good evening and welcome to Faith Nation. I'm John Jessup.
Thank you for joining us. Well, a number of high-profile officer-involved shootings are causing police departments to re-examine how to respond to the split-second decision of whether to shoot.
So how is new technology preparing officers to protect themselves and the public? CBN's Eric Phillips has this look at a high-tech simulator that's as real as it gets.
Law enforcement officers face a critical balancing act each shift they work. They strive to follow the law, protect and serve citizens, and then return home safely to their own families at the end of the day. It's an unenviable position of having to make split-second decisions that are sometimes deadly and often second-guessed. We traveled to one facility outside of Atlanta to see firsthand the training that can better prepare officers for those high-pressure situations.
Sir, put the gun down. I don't want to hurt you.
Welcome to the Georgia Public Training Center.
Okay, I'll drop it. Okay, just don't shoot me.
Thank you, sir. Go ahead and turn around for me.
Training officers on when and when not to shoot is as real as it gets, thanks to this 300-degree simulator made by Inveris. Chris Wigginton is the center's director.
The simulation can actually have people walk up behind you, beside you, have multiple people inside the scenario. And by using this type of system, it puts a officer that's in training or an advanced officer in the types of situations that we can't recreate in real life without somebody getting hurt or injured.
This facility has been training officers across Georgia in crucial decision-making since the 1980s.
We required every officer in the state to receive additional use of force training and de-escalation training before any other, on a national level or any other state was doing this. So we talk about it in a lecture-based environment. We test them academically on a written test.
And put them through high-tech simulation. Instructors showed us how it works.
Drop the gun.
I'm not going to.
During the simulation, an instructor controls each moment of the scenario and can change what happens next with the click of a button. Here is where costly mistakes are revealed before they happen in real life, as I learned firsthand.
While standing in line at your bank, you notice a man acting very strange and nervous.
Hi, Derek. You just shot a guy who had an accidental discharge.
And it all boils down sometimes to an officer making a bad decision. And if an officer makes a bad decision, sometimes someone's life will be lost.
I asked Wigginton about statistics that indicate blacks are more likely to be killed by law enforcement than any others.
I just do not believe that law enforcement sets out to murder people of color. When you talk to officers that are involved in use of force cases, black, white, Asian, Hispanic, it doesn't matter. Every one of them will tell you the same thing, that when that situation started to escalate, color or creed had nothing to do with the decisions they made. It was all about survival and staying alive.
Stop moving! We talked specifically about 3 high-profile cases in 2020. First, the case that electrified the nation, the killing of George Floyd.
I'm claustrophobic. I can't breathe all the time.
What happened there was not justified, and I think it was very shocking to not only the law enforcement community, but to the nation.
Then there was Breonna Taylor, an innocent woman shot to death when Louisville police stormed her apartment searching for illegal contraband. Her boyfriend shot at them, thinking they were robbers. Officers returned fire. One of their bullets killed Taylor.
When those officers went through the threshold of that door, if they start receiving fire, they're justified in returning fire. And I asked somebody the other day, how many rounds should an officer take before they feel the need to shoot back?
I think you've had too much to drink to be driving.
Then the case of Rayshard Brooks, shot to death by Atlanta PD after a tussle where Brooks grabbed one of the officer's taser and ran.
In that incident, the use of force, up to deadly force, was justified in the way the officers applied that.
Wigginton says the center requires racial sensitivity and diversity training, but some things are out of officers' control.
People want to look at it and say, well, an officer had de-escalation training. Why did this incident end up in a deadly force encounter? Well, sometimes that's not the officer's decision. We always leave out the other part of that conversation, and that's the citizen that's involved in that encounter. The officer can't control what that citizen does.
He says training here is designed to prevent as many deaths as possible.
I don't want to hurt you, sir.
Which he believes is the goal of the vast majority of officers on the streets.
And I think about this just a minute. Do you think there's a police officer that wakes up and puts on their uniform and says, today I'm going to go out and murder someone? I just don't see a police officer that wakes up that wants to get involved in a use of force situation.
Law enforcement officials say it's important to remember the emotional toll officers suffer when they shoot and kill someone. That's something they have to live with for the rest of their lives. And that's when a different kind of training or therapy comes in. Even then, some can't recover and are forced to give up their careers. Eric Phillips, CBN News.
All right, thank you, Eric. Well, shifting gears here, a muscle car with no engine under the hood. That's right. The Mustang Mach-E is part of the new wave of electric cars about to sweep the nation.
What about the famous Mustang roar? George Thomas took a spin to find out firsthand.
Should have seen this coming. A stampede unleashed 55 years ago.
Is the electric vehicle revolution finally here?
The all-electric Mustang Mach-E.
After years of attempts, the world's big auto giants
introducing the next all-electric super truck, the revolutionary GMC Hummer EV SUV.
And dozens of startup companies.
The future. It's impossible to see. And when it's finally here, it might not be what you'd expect.
Are betting big that the electric car is here to stay.
Introducing Lucid Air.
Joe Wiesenfelder is executive editor at Cars.com.
We could be at a new point of acceptance for electric vehicles.
52% polled in a Car Guru survey say they plan to own an electric car within the next 10 years, up from 34% in 2018. GM, Volvo, and Jaguar positioning to capture a piece of the market by going all electric in 15 years.
And we're going to see much more of the types of vehicles that Americans are already most interested in gas and diesel form, which is small SUVs.
Mustang aficionado Ken Cook says tying Ford's Mach-E SUV to the iconic sports line is a bold move. He already drives a 2018 GT, then took the 2021 all-electric for a test run.
To put that badge, put that pony on another vehicle and call it a Mustang, I think it was very brave, but I think they did a really good job.
Ford and other car companies chasing Tesla, which right now dominates the U.S. EV market.
Tesla basically has revolutionized automotive industry.
Vitaly Katzenelson, author of Tesla, Elon Musk, and the EV Revolution, says Tesla's innovations forced car makers worldwide to rethink their business models.
When people thought about electric cars before, they thought about golf carts, right? Tesla made an electric car, and then people realized electric car is actually a superior vehicle to internal combustion engine car.
I love the way the car drives. It handles wonderfully.
Skip Bowman couldn't agree more. He's owned one for 3 years and says he'll never go back. He's not alone. 4 out of 5 of all electric cars bought in 2020 were Tesla.
With Tesla, I can speak with, they don't advertise, but yet they're doing really, really well. And why is that? It's because the car is very stylish. It has that punch. This car can beat practically any car on the highway, so guys really like to be able to see, some type of muscle car pull up to them and you just wave goodbye to it as you go past it.
Sales and reviews for Ford's Mustang Mach-E have remained solid since it came out late last year.
Let's see how fast this baby flies.
So I wanted to see for myself. And it wasn't bad, though I missed the growl of the Mustang gasoline engine.
Let's be clear, gas engine cars aren't going obsolete anytime soon, but there are big challenges facing electric cars. For example, there aren't enough places around the country where you can charge an EV car like this. And then there's the issue of the battery range. How far do you have to go before you have to juice up? And finally, the sticker price. Cars like this are typically more expensive than vehicles vehicles that are powered, similar vehicles that is, that are powered by gasoline engines.
Ford and others are tackling those concerns.
That's one thing that I think Ford Motor really thought about when they introduced the electric car. They want to make it as affordable as the normal Mustang GT to attract that consumer that loves the power and the speed of the muscle Mustang.
President Biden's massive infrastructure bill calls for spending $174 billion toward electric cars, including consumer tax credits to buy EVs and building 500,000 electric charging stations across the country. Jeff Lyash's group in Tennessee is already moving with a plan to put one every 50 miles along the state's roads and highways.
We will deploy these chargers in locations that are safe, secure, clean, and with conveniences so that individuals who have a nearly depleted battery can plug their vehicle in and reach an 80% charge within about 20 minutes.
TVA is also teaming up with 5 other power companies to create a charging network covering the South, Midwest, and Atlantic coast.
We hope to have the first of these chargers in service before the end of the year and have the project completed sometime next year.
So with dozens of new vehicles set to hit the American roads this year, the question is, can car dealers convince drivers that EVs are the future, despite some of the concerns consumers have about switching to electric cars? George Thomas, CBN News.
Thank you, George. Coming up, how the Red Cross is using technology to help with disaster response during the pandemic.
Come home to the sounds of Southern Gospel from CBN Radio. You'll enjoy a rich Southern blend of bluegrass, classic gospel, and Southern gospel favorites like the Gaithers, the Crab Family, and bluegrass sounds like Mountain Faith. So make yourself at home with the all-new CBN Southern Gospel, now available at cbnradio.com.
It's about the competition.
I kind of put that pressure on myself, and I think people had expectations.
It's about overcoming.
We use this phrase all the time, keep chopping, keep practicing hard.
It's about going the distance.
You know, I think as a father, it's my job, to lead. Just be the best husband and father I can be.
Watch Going the Distance with Sean Brown Saturday night at 7:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
Welcome back. Well, the Red Cross is in the disaster response business. While there might be plenty of work, the response part can be pretty challenging during the pandemic.
Well, as Caitlin Burke reports, the well-known humanitarian organization has had to adapt to help struggling families.
From large-scale natural disasters like hurricanes or wildfires to smaller emergencies, Red Cross volunteers are often among the first on the scene, joining state, local, and federal authorities to provide support.
We work with all of those agencies to set up a family assistance center where the families of those who died during the event are able to come and access resources from a number of different organizations.
When the scope of this pandemic became apparent, folks at the Red Cross realized this type of mass casualty event would require a new approach.
We set up what we're calling our virtual family assistance center on a website by inviting many different agencies to join us on that website to let people know what services they offer, what resources they have.
Rather than sending volunteers to physical locations, they deployed virtually.
Because normally in a family assistance center, we would have mental health and spiritual care and health services volunteers working directly with the clients. Because of the pandemic, we can't do that. So we have a call center.
Good morning. This is the Red Cross Virtual Family Assistance Center. How may I help you?
Spiritual care is the specialty of volunteer Linda Rainey.
So spiritual care for the Red Cross is not based on any religion or denomination. For us, spiritual care really is about care and compassion for the people.
The Red Cross, our mission is to alleviate suffering in people who have been affected by a disaster or by an emergency. And that's what we're doing.
Over the last year, just about every call seems connected to the pandemic.
People call in asking for all sorts of things. They ask for help designing funerals or memorial services. Many people are looking for financial resources.
The pandemic led to the creation of the Virtual Family Care Center, but it will continue even after the U.S. is no longer in COVID's grip.
We feel that there will continue to be a need for a place where people can go to get both that emotional support and some access to resources.
And the virtual model allows the Red Cross to respond within seconds.
We can scale up. We can add people to the call center if we start getting lots and lots of calls. We can pivot to being a more local or regionally based site.
During a time when safety seems synonymous with isolation, the Red Cross wants you to know you're not alone, and their volunteers want to hear your story. Caitlin Burke, CBN News.
Thank you, Caitlin. Surveillance cameras capturing your face dozens of times a day. Who's seeing these images? What are they doing with them? That story next.
Too often we carry baggage from our past. You know what it's like. It affects everything and everyone in our lives. It's always there, weighing us down and keeping us from achieving true happiness. But do you know God never meant for us to be trapped in the past? You can be free of your baggage. Learn how God's forgiveness leads to changed lives and new beginnings. Call the 700 Club.
I'm Ephraim Graham, and this is Studio 5. Cruise with me as I discover the good things happening in the world of music, sports, television, and movies.
The fact that Ryan Coogler was going to be directing the film, I knew that something special was going to happen.
We'll chat with artists at the forefront of entertainment and explore the connection between popular culture and faith.
I asked my pastor, I said, well, does that mean I'm supposed to be a preacher? He says, well, no, you already have a pulpit.
Wednesday night at 8:30 on the CBN News Channel. Tikkun Olam.
This is our nature as a country.
To make the world a better place.
Literally, we felt the earth shaking.
The Christian Broadcasting Network presents To Life, how Israeli volunteers are changing the world.
This film needs to be seen by everyone.
I was in tears.
Now you can own the inspiring documentary To Life on DVD.
There is blood on our hands if we know and we walk away.
I'm so grateful that this film was made.
To Life can be yours for a gift of $10 or more. Call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to cbn.com.
We know that every minute counts to save life.
It'll bless Israel, but it'll also bless all the friends of Israel.
Discover the untold story of how Israeli volunteers are making the world a better place. Call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to cbn.com to get your copy today.
You probably don't realize it, but nearly 200 million security cameras are watching on American citizens every moment, catching you on camera hundreds of times a week.
That's an awful lot. So is there any way to protect your privacy? Once again, here's CBN's Eric Phillips.
A recent report estimates about 1 billion security cameras rolling worldwide, 18% of them here in the United States. Like at this ATM, every time you do your banking, you're caught on camera. But you don't have to be using a service like that in order to be caught on camera. In fact, just walking down the street, you can be captured on closed-circuit TV. The U.S. is second only to China when it comes to keeping eyes on its citizens. Make no mistake, Big Brother is watching. According to safety.com, the average American is caught on camera 238 times each week.
Wow. It surprises me, and it feels a bit weird to think about that.
Concerning at all?
No, I just think it keeps people safer than it doesn't. And if you don't want to be doing something that shouldn't be recorded, don't do it.
Here's how those 238 camera views rack up. Cameras capture you at home or in your neighborhood 14 times a week, 160 times behind the wheel. While you're working, candid cameras catch you 40 times, maybe more if you're in retail, travel, or high security industries, and 24 times a week while shopping or running errands.
I mean, I don't like it, but I don't know if it surprises me. But yeah, not a great thing to know.
Jay Stanley is a senior policy analyst with the ACLU.
We're seeing a very rapid increase in the amount of public cameras that Americans are subject to. Right now, we have about 15 cameras for every 100 people in America, about 50 million cameras. And that's more per capita than any other country in the world, even China. I mean, the basic concern is that we're going to lose our privacy and we're going to become a country that's different from what we've always been. That from the moment you step out of your front door until you return home at night, every moment of your life in public will be recorded, potentially scrutinized, watched.
He says it's often artificial intelligence keeping track, not humans.
Computers that analyze your daily routines and understand what you're doing, what you're carrying, what you're wearing, who you are, what your attributes are, and filing that away somewhere.
You don't expect privacy on the street corner. So if a camera captures what you're doing on the street corner, I don't think that's an intrusion on privacy.
UCLA law professor Eugene Volokh believes the positives outweigh the negatives.
Makes it easier, for example, to catch criminals. Maybe makes it easier to exonerate people who are falsely accused of crime. May also deter crime. While cameras have their problems, the question is compared to what? Compared to more aggressive police presence, the problems may be less.
Both experts agree the biggest concern is the potential for government tracking its citizens under the guise of crime prevention.
We're seeing some cities like Chicago putting police cameras all over the city and networking them together. They're also tying in private cameras. In some cases, the Ring cameras are being networked together by Amazon, which takes all the camera feeds and puts them in the cloud, potentially making them available to the authorities.
Part of the solution, experts say, is private citizens asking themselves several questions before installing cameras on personal property. Do you trust the manufacturer who may store images on their own servers? Do you trust the internet? Because any cameras tied to the web are susceptible to being hacked. And do you trust the government? That in many cases can use a warrant to access what your camera captures.
But if you're really worried about that, I think the solution is to make it harder to abuse the cameras and not to stop them altogether.
Nobody's saying that you can stop technology from rolling forward, but you can put some constraints on it, shape how it's deployed so that it comports with our values.
Stanley says that's where lawmakers should step in. He says they need to implement laws controlling access to these cameras, allowing us to benefit from this tech without becoming a surveillance society. In Washington, Eric Phillips, CBN News.
Thank you, Eric. Well, are dollars going down? How cryptocurrency could revolutionize the way you spend? When Faith Nation returns.
It's the new Superbook Bible app. It's packed with games, activities, and Superbook episodes that you can watch for free. Oh, no! There's trivia, a fun daily devotional, and answers to your Bible questions. Plus, an easy-to-understand Bible the whole family will enjoy. You can even create your own Superbook character. Ta-da! It's the new Superbook Bible app. Free downloads on iTunes, Google Play, and Amazon.
On the Home Front.
Thanks for joining us for CBN's On the Home Front, where we highlight what the men and women of America's military do to defend our country. CBN honors the men and women in our military with an initiative called Helping the Home Front. It partners with churches across the country to meet the needs of their military families, from repairing homes to wiping out medical bills for wounded veterans.
Wednesday at 3 on the CBN News Channel. Get Protect Your Sleep and discover how to improve the quality of your life. A free DVD or booklet from the Christian Broadcasting Network.
If you're not a great sleeper, you can do things to make yourself a great sleeper. If you're already a pretty good sleeper, you can enhance your sleep and be even better.
5 leading experts help remove the obstacles between you and restorative sleep.
When you don't get a restful night's sleep, you wake up with an accumulation of stress.
Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com to get your free DVD or booklet today.
Everything you do better with a good night's sleep.
You'll discover how food affects your sleep, how to put insomnia to rest, explore effective remedies for sleep apnea, and much more in Protect Your Sleep. Wake up to your best life and get Protect Your Sleep today. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com to get your free DVD or booklet.
Finally tonight, Bitcoin's been around for more than a decade, but the word's being tossed around a lot more lately.
That's right. Dale Hurd has this look at what it is and what it means for the future of money.
Just a decade ago, hardly anyone had heard of Bitcoin outside of some technology circles. Today, it's gained widespread buzz and acceptance from some big businesses and major investors. Though Bitcoin has a logo, it's actually a purely online digital currency using computer code, acting as real money for people to make their purchases. It was born after the crash of 2008. Although there had been digital currencies before, none of them ever really gained traction. But over the years, Bitcoin gradually caught on. In 2010, it was worth less than a penny, but in early April, it peaked at nearly $65,000 before falling back. The explosion in Bitcoin's price since last fall has come as major financial institutions are offering it to clients. And electric vehicle builder Tesla made a splash in February, buying $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin. Not only that,
they intend to start accepting Bitcoin for payment when they sell Tesla cars in the future.
Richard Lyons of the Berkeley School of Business also said that's the wave of the future.
The trend is inexorable. I think that not just with Bitcoin, but other cryptocurrencies, that those will become transactable currencies increasingly over the next 5 years. It's not going to happen overnight.
But even as cryptocurrencies gain acceptance, governments like China, the European Union, the U.S., and more are moving toward digital currencies as well, possibly leading to competition for Bitcoin. Regardless of the future of Bitcoin itself, it's clear that it's opened the door for a revolution in digital finance, a revolution that is likely to change the world. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
Thank you, Dale, and good